Welcome back. Oh, I need to turn on StarCraft for the stream. Regardless, welcome back everyone to the small time tournament. We are starting a round 3 match here between Wetnoodles and mmmchocklett. So Wetnoodles, I took a look. Wetnoodles is top ranked in his Platinum division. I'll go ahead and show you guys if it can load in a reasonable amount of time. Here you go. He is in the top 8, ranked number 8 in his division of Platinum. mmmchocklett is also ranked pretty high in Platinum. Let's take a look at what his division rank is. It is, come on little hover thing, rank 14. So that is pretty good. And we're going to give our players just a little bit of time to get ready before this game, even though they have had 20 minutes. But hopefully we'll be able to blast through this best-of-3 series. While we're waiting, a little bit about me. I am Nacho Cheese. This is the first time I am ever casting a game or a tournament. I've been going for a little while now. Done about 4 games of this tournament, 2 round 1 games, and then 2 games in a best-of-3 for round 2. And now I will be doing at least 2 more, unless we go a 2-1 win for one of these players. And they are both ready, so I'm going to go ahead and start the game. So we're going to get started here on MLG Xel'Naga Caverns. Now, as I said, mmmchocklett and Wetnoodles are both Platinum League players. If you're watching a lot of professional StarCraft, you're probably thinking, Platinum League, that's not very high. What are these two doing in a tournament? The small-time tournament is for gold and platinum players only. So you're seeing no diamonds, no masters, no grandmasters level players in this tournament. So it's just for fun. There's no prize money. There's no sign-up fee. Nothing like that. This is just to give the players some practice, give the casters some practice. Now we do have Wetnoodles spawning down here in the bottom left as the purple Protoss. And in the top right is going to be mmmchocklett as the pink Terran. I'm just going to be calling him Chocolate because it's a little ridiculous to say mmmchocklett every time I want to mention him. Now, this is the first game that you're watching with us. We've been playing on MLG Xel'Naga Caverns. That is, of course, the Major League Gaming version of Xel'Naga Caverns. And the main difference is they've got this supply depot here at the bottom of the ramp. Now, the main reason they did that is because Terran players, when playing against Zerg, could just run up an SCV and build 1 or 2 bunkers here and completely wall off this ramp, fill them with 2 or 3 Marines, and really just give the Zerg a very hard time expanding or doing anything. It was just such an imbalanced strategy on these maps that MLG added the supply depot to the bottom, so they can still put some bunkers down here, but they can't completely wall off. The Zerg player would at least have some way of getting around. Of course, we don't have a Zerg player here, so none of that matters. These supply depots are just sort of in the way a little bit. We're seeing some early scouting done by Wetnoodles. He sent that probe out right after his pylon, which is a little early. I like keeping that probe on the mineral line a little bit longer, especially because there's not really that much to scout, although he is using this probe to do a little bit of harassment on this SCV. He's not going to be able to take it out, though, as this SCV's friend is able to come off the mineral line and just chase him out of here. Meanwhile, back at the Protoss base, we're seeing a completely standard opening. He's at this gateway. He's getting this assimilator at 14 food, now at 15 food, so he'll be dropping his pylon down at about 16. And this probe's still in this base, doing some damage, doing some scouting and annoyance, but it's about to die. He needs to pull that out of there, and it does get out of there with 1 hit remaining from the SCV. So the cybernetics core and the pylon going down at about the same time. I don't know if that was a little delayed or not, but it's probably not going to make a huge difference either way at this point. Chocolate now sending down his SCV to scout, and he's going to see all this can go right through the mineral line. That's actually very dangerous to do, as these probes can get off the minerals and surround him and just quickly destroy that SCV and get back on that mineral line without losing too many minerals mined. And Chocolate loses 50 minerals worth of a worker. But instead, Noodles is just going to chase him around with this little probe, play a ring around the gateways, and do all sorts of that stuff. Now, Wetnoodles stealing the gas of Chocolate. This is something that I have not seen anyone except a Zerg player do. Zerg players can usually get away with this as their extractors only cost 25 minerals. This assimilator costs Wetnoodles 75 minerals, and that will set him behind in the mineral count. However, it's also going to give him a little bit of scouting information. He can see just in the range of this assimilator. That's not... Yeah, he can see this barracks and this tech lab. He can see the orbital command. He's not really getting any interesting information out of that, but he does delay the gas, which hurts Chocolate's tech path choices. Definitely stops him from doing fast cloak banshees or any other very gas-intensive build like that. But I don't know if that was worth 75 minerals. However, his probe was likely about to die, and so it may have been worth it just as a last-ditch thing, a last annoyance to sort of make up for the cost of that probe. We are seeing now a Zealot, a Sentry, and a Stalker. This seems like the character composition for an adventure movie or maybe a romantic comedy. And Chocolate's going to push up with these Marauders. Now, they do have concussive shells, so they will be able to kite most, if not all, of those units very easily. But Wetnoodles able to play defensively enough to fend those off, and Chocolate's going to have to go home without doing really any damage. He's got a little hit point damage on the Zealot, which will not recharge, but all the shields will be back, and he didn't spend his attacks on these Stalkers. Now, Marauders, if you're not familiar with the game of StarCraft, Marauders do double damage against armored units. It's going to do 10 against everything except armored and 20 against armored, which is just massively devastating to these Stalkers. We're seeing a robotics facility go down for Wetnoodles, and he's getting an observer out. This is an extremely reasonable, safe play for him to do. Observers are cloaked, so they're very difficult to detect by Terran players or Zerg players or anyone, and they can get you all sorts of great scouting information if they're allowed to survive. Now, we do have an expansion orbital command down for Chocolate. He's going to be moving that off to his expansion. This observer is just going to be in time to see that, and Noodles is going to want to get his own expansion up. He does have quite a lot of minerals. I don't know if he's saving up for that or not. He's definitely not producing as many units as he could out of these warp gates. We see this warp gate still able to warp in. This gateway just now coming up. An Immortal coming out. Immortal's incredibly good against Marauders. Again, the same sort of thing I was talking about with the Marauders. Immortals do insane damage to armored units, and Marauders count as armored. Take a look at this Immortal here. 20 damage to normal units, 50 damage to armored. That is more than double damage. And so those Immortals are perfectly reasonable counter to this many Marauders. However, Immortals, not very good against Marines, as they do that lower damage, and these Marines just have a good attack to ignore the hardened shields of these Immortals. Wetnoodles moving his units up to take the towers and putting down a proxy pylon. That's pretty aggressive proxy pylon. However, he can get away with it at this point because Chocolate is not really scouting. You know, Chocolate should have been sending Marines out to the Selnaga caverns, could have seen this advance. At the same time, though, Wetnoodles could have also been sending his units out to the Selnaga towers, and we see he's the first one to get the idea that, scouting might be important. It might be nice to know what my opponent is doing. So we have this proxy pylon is finished up. He can start warping in units here, and he certainly has. This warp gate, both times I've looked at it, has not been producing. There it goes, warping in a Zealot. And we see Wetnoodles going to be poking up a little bit and moving down, and it looks like he's going to try and secure his natural in response to seeing that Chocolate's natural is up. However, Chocolate doing a little bit of poking forward and then pulling back, I guess just seeing where the units were for Wetnoodles. And Wetnoodles starting to move forward. Is this going to be an engagement, or is he going to poke and walk away? We are about to see Guardian Shield going up. He wants his engagement. Nice force field splitting the army, and he's doing nice amounts of damage. However, all these Zealots taking serious damage, just not able to withstand the combined attack of all those Marines and Marauders. Turret going down, going to take out that observer and prevent any further scouting, and Noodles wisely backs out. We see Wetnoodles not coming out ahead in that engagement. He did kill one extra unit, but he lost 1,100 resources worth of units compared to Chocklett's 550. So it's not a super insurmountable disadvantage, but it is a disadvantage. That attack did not go as well as Noodles would have liked. So he's going to pull his units back, take out these rocks, and clear the path for his third. It's a little interesting to do this so soon because he hasn't even gotten his natural up. And now we see Chocolate is starting a little aggressive push. He's going to be clearing out this tower, moving over here, taking out this pylon that is going to supply block Wetnoodles for a little bit, who has no pylons in production, now throwing down 2 to try and make up for that. And Chocolate clearing out both towers and coming down here with this sizable Marine Marauder ball. Don't know what he's going to be doing. He sends a Marine out just to scout, get a feel for what's going on. And that is a big enough army. I'm not sure if Chocolate wants to push, but he does have this Ghost. This Ghost can EMP and gets a really bad, well, that's a good EMP, I guess. It looks like it was way off-center, but all of these units now, their shield's completely gone. And Protoss, about half your health is your shield, and he's just dominating this force now. That was a really well-placed EMP, but his force also getting taken out. This is very weak. Wetnoodles should be able to warp in a couple units and clean this up. That Stalker going down. These Marauders very low health. They will be able to kite those Zealots. And they're going to take out this Forge before this upgrade finishes. That could be huge. And this Forge is going to go down. So Wetnoodles was almost done with that +1 attack upgrade, and then it got canceled. That is a huge loss for Wetnoodles. We're going to look at the resources. The units lost tab. Way behind now, over 2,000 resources behind, even though Wetnoodles has killed 5 more units. A part of that is just the fact that Protoss builds expensive units. You know, you just look at their basic unit, the Zealot costs 100 minerals, and the basic Zerg and Terran units each cost only 50. So that should just give you an idea. Protoss units are just more expensive all around, but still, that is a huge disadvantage that Wetnoodles is going to be fighting back from. Especially the economic disadvantage that he's at. Chocolate has had this second base up for quite a while. Noodles has only just now gotten his natural saturated. His second gas is just now finishing up. He needs to transfer some workers over there and get some gas. Taking this guy over here just to hang out, build some more forges. Double Forge, I do like this. I absolutely love Double Forge upgrading. Really in any matchup, this pro needs to be doing something too. And now Chocolate, thinking exactly what I was thinking. He's ahead. He needs to get more ahead, so he's going to take this third expansion, floating over a command center. He will likely be upgrading this to a planetary fortress. Again, you know, you've heard me say it in some of the other games. I'll repeat it here. Planetary fortress is very important to get here, as it completely controls this whole side. It protects this normally very risky base from any aggression from the Protoss player, and it just gives him that much more map control. You do see he has control of this tower, not even bothering to go over to this tower, as this will really provide all the scouting he needs between this and the planetary fortress. A third base now going down for Wetnoodles, again, because Wetnoodles does not have that planetary fortress option as the Protoss. He cannot take this very risky high yield expansion. So he is going for the safer back expansion. He already knocks these rocks out, so that will be very easy to defend. A drop starting to go for Chocolate. We'll see. Wetnoodles has no idea this is coming. He might spot this early with the Observer. He does not. So he's going to be caught with his pants down, so to speak, from this very sizable drop. Moving in here, do we see the units coming back? We do. They are coming back. A scan going off. Going to see that these units are on their way back, and it's going to take down the Templar Archives, which is another big tech disadvantage, as High Templar would be so incredibly powerful against this MMM army, and we see he has no High Templar on the field right now, so that is big. That's going to delay it that much more, and it looks like he is going back for it and also getting a robotics bait to get some Colossus. Colossus also another very powerful option against a very heavy bio build. We do see Chocolate has a lot of gas that he is not spending. His minerals are also getting pretty high, but it's not unreasonably high. Now it's getting unreasonably high. I'm reading some comments on my stream. I need to stop getting distracted. Now a big attack, another great EMP going on the sentries. That's going to take away all their energy, and that is GG, as ghosts are just too powerful against Protoss armies. Chocolate going to take a decisive victory in Game 1, which means Wetnoodles will be choosing the map for Game 2. I'm going to stop the stream for just a moment so I can get a nice video break. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks a lot. Leave comments. Let me know what is going on, how I can improve. If you're watching this on the stream, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you're having a great time. I'm having a great time. I will see you guys for Game 2.